going to show you how I made these quilted or patchwork style Christmas tree cookies. So stay tuned and I'll show you how. Here are the things that I'm going to use. An almost 4.5-inch Christmas tree cookie cutter. I'm going to be using red, leaf green, and Kelly green food coloring, all by Wilton. I'm going to be using electric green by Americolor and a black edible marker. Alright guys, let's get started. Alright guys, to get started I will be making an outline, and I have here my Kelly green, which is the darkest of all the greens that I have, and it is in a medium to thick consistency in a tip 2. You can use black if you like, but I am using this color to incorporate into the sections, so I didn't go with the black, but this is nice as well. It's a nice dark green. So what I'm doing here is I'm just outlining the cookie, and once I get to the center part, I do a little bit of a wave design. Now you can make these Christmas trees in different sizes. They have some really big ones, and they also have little smaller ones, so depending on which size you pick, you'll have either less or more sections to make. So down here is like a square or half a rectangle. Just follow that line there. Make sure you bring your peaks down. You don't want those to dry sticking up. So that's pretty much it for the beginning. I'm going to do the rest. I'm going to give it some time to dry. Since it's in a medium to thick consistency, it will dry a lot quicker, but I would give it a minimum of 45 minutes to an hour, just because I am working with white and I don't want any bleeding into it. So I will be giving it plenty of time to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest and I'll be back. Alright, so this has had plenty of time to dry, so you can start at any section with this separation here. You can pretty much just go from one to another. I'm going to start off here in the middle because I want to do a certain design here, and the more elaborate design, try to make that with the larger space. That way it doesn't get all bunched up if you do it in a smaller space. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to use my green, and I have it in a tip 4 because I have a lot to fill, and the icing is in a flooding to medium consistency. It's not super runny, and I like to do that because it's just a little bit easier to control and manage and spread without it going over the lines up to my second or my next section. And I'm going to be using white, red, and that darker green that I used for the outline. I think they're all in tip 1s. So I'm just going to draw a line right across with each of them. So I just settle that in, and I have my white. I'm going to bring this line right across really quickly. I'm going to go with my red. And then my darker green. And then I'm going to drag my tool through there up and down. Should clean it so that way you don't bring other colors in. Have a nice clean tip when you're dragging it. Just like this. And then really quickly bring in any of the peaks that might be standing, so when it dries nice and flat and smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my other section. Okay, so now I'm going to do this section here, and I have my white, and I have it in a tip 3, and I have my red and my neon green in tips 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did with the other one, and just fill this in and then quickly smooth it out. Alright, so this is also in a flooding to medium consistency. It just helps to spread that icing out. And then I'm going to go and I'm just going to make little polka dots in the red up and down. And I'm going to get my neon green and do the same. Now you can change the colors And I'm just going to show you this one sample, this one cookie, because the other ones are just going to be pretty much the same, except for I'm going to move the designs into different sections so they'll look different. And maybe in some of them I'm going to switch the colors around, but the design is going to pretty much stay the same. They're going to stay pretty similar, except for I'm just going to move, let's say I'll do the polka dots at the top or at the bottom, and I'll just kind of switch them around to make the cookies look a little bit different. So this is probably the only sample that I'm going to do, and then at the end you'll see the different ones once I'm done with them. So now I can move on to the next one. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom part here. Since I am working with 4 sections, one of the colors is going to get repeated. Since I only have the neon green, the medium green, and the white that I'm using as a base, one of them is going to get repeated since I have 4 sections. So whichever one you do down here is going to eventually be up here. So in this case, I am going to be using my neon green. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this whole section out and smooth it out. Alright, so after you smooth that out, I'm going to be using my green, which is still in a tip 1. And of course you can do any design that you like. And since you're going to be doing a lot of these, you might have to repeat the same design over and over again. But just choose the one that you like the most. Especially here that you have more space to work with, you can do bigger designs. So just go ahead and fill your section up. In my case, I'm going to do some little red polka dots in here to give it some color. And make sure you bring those little peaks down so it can dry nice and flat. Alright, so that is it for this section. Now I'm going to move to the top section. Alright, so now I'm going to do the top section here. And again, I'm just going to fill the section out and then smooth it out. Alright, so now I'm going to take my red and I'm just going to make little X's. I have this in a tip 0. You can try to do it in a tip 1. Just need something really thin because I have a very small space. Alright, and then I'll use my darker green, also in a tip 1. You can use tip 0 if you have it. Just gonna put some little polka dots in there just like that. Be sure you push them in so they don't dry sticking up. And now the last part at the bottom. Alright, so now for the bottom I'm going to be using white, or you can just fill this in one solid color if you want to use this darker green that you use for the outline, and then just completely fill it in. That's fine, but since this is sort of like a patchwork or a quilted design, I wanted to include the bottom one as well as a quilted design. So I'm going to go ahead and make some little lines. Gotta come up with a lot of designs for these, that way they don't keep repeating. So just think of a few. You gotta work rather quickly so these can sink in. Okay, I'm gonna work really quickly, try to do my best to sink them in quick enough. So after this, you're going to give them some time to dry. I do suggest either leaving them overnight or give them at least 3 hours or so to dry, because we are going to go with our little stitches on the top part, and you want to make sure that your surface and your icing has pretty much settled in and dried completely. That way you don't accidentally puncture your icing. So I'm going to go ahead and give this some time to dry. I probably will leave these overnight because it is in the evening, so I will be working on the stitches tomorrow in the morning. So go ahead and finish up the rest and then we can continue on. Alright guys, so I gave my cookie plenty of time to dry. Now very carefully I'm going to be doing my little stitch lines, and I already started here to move the video along. I do have an edible marker. This is by Wilton. You can use roll icing to do your stitching. I did do a video a while back that was similar to this, and I did do my lines with roll icing, but I decided to do these with an edible marker. Thought it'd be a little bit quicker and easier since I had already whipped up so much icing for this cookie. So I will be using my edible marker for this, and all you're gonna have to do is, if you see here, I'm gonna go back and forth to make my lines just a little bit thicker, but all you have to do is just make little tiny lines all around the cookie. Don't make them too long because stitches aren't really long, they're a little bit more shorter. And so you're going to go around the entire cookie just like this, and as you see I am going just back and forth a little bit to just darken up the line. Don't put too much pressure on there or go over the same spot too much, because that liquid and that pressure will puncture your icing. So very lightly, as you see, just turn your cookie and continue on and just rub it back and forth to just darken up that line. Make sure you don't forget the insides here in between. And that's pretty much it. So I thought that looked really nice. I'm going to give this some time to dry because it is still moist, and so it's a little bit glossy. So once it dries, it's going to turn nice and matte, and it's going to blend in with the rest of the cookie. So I'm going to finish up the rest, give them some time to dry, put them all together, and that'll be all. Alright guys, so there you have your quilted or patchwork style Christmas tree cookies. Really easy to make, just a lot of detail, but they're really fun, very colorful, perfect for the holiday season. These are great to give to your friends, your family, co-workers, teachers. So give these a try. Not hard to do at all. So I hope you guys are having a great holiday season, guys. I thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good one.